Sharon saved her supply chain from cyber risk and ended the office goat debate.
Today, Taiwan Semiconductor is announcing that they will be investing at least $100 billion in new capital in the United States over the next short period of time to build state-of-the-art semiconductor manufacturing facilities. I think mostly it's going to be in Arizona, which is what I understand, which is a great state.
All right, that was President Trump earlier today at the White House making this announcement that the world's leading semiconductor producer, Taiwan's TSMC, Taiwan Semi, will invest $100 billion expanding production here in the U.S. Now, Taiwan Semiconductor controls 80% of all the advanced chip manufacturing around the globe. Only about 8% of global production, though, is based here in the U.S. The president has talked before about bringing more chip production home and recently said he's considering a tariff of 25% or higher on all semiconductors that are made outside of this country, all this aimed at reducing our dependence on China. It's always about China, the largest semiconductor market in the world, over 30% of global sales and over half the market share in China held by American companies. It's a cost issue. Let's bring in Brandon Daniels, CEO at the firm Exiger, to talk a little bit more about this. Brandon, what do you make of the announcement today? I know you're focused always on supply chains, and what about this announcement today? I said earlier, this seems like a healthy number, $100 billion. The CEO of Taiwan Semi said that that's on top of the $60 billion they were already in for from the CHIPS Act and the Biden administration. What do you make of it?
I'm very bullish on this investment, Connell. I think that this is one of the critical steps to not only diversifying our global electronic supply chain and bringing economic opportunity back to the United States, but I'm also very bullish on it because it actually diversifies us from a risk perspective. As you know, Taiwan is susceptible to major natural disasters. And by diversifying to other areas of the world, other regions, it's also going to take down the potential for disruption. So all in all, this is a great thing.
Now, I mentioned that your expertise is in supply chains and particularly how AI affects those supply chains. What are we in the middle of here? Is this some sort of a big reordering of global supply chains? I mean, what's going on here, big picture?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now we're in the midst of a huge shift in trade policy, right? I think a lot of that right now is coming out with very large, very significant tariffs that we're on the eve of, right? And I think there's no information coming out from the White House saying that that's going to change anytime soon.
No, double down, if anything. He says they're going to go into effect.
That's right. That's right. And so if those tariffs go into effect as they were originally stated, sort of the 25% in Canada, Mexico, and an additional 10% on China.
Well, China's 20 now, I think, is what he said today. We'll see.
If it doubles, right? If it doubles.
Okay.
And so if those impacts or if those tariffs go into effect the way that it's stated today, I think you are going to have to reorder your supply chains because the fact is that if you have manufacturing here in the United States, like I'm going to connect our TSMC news with our tariff news.
Okay.
If TSMC is going to be building semiconductors in the United States, then what we have to do is we have to make sure that the critical minerals and the materials that actually support that semiconductor manufacturing can come in cost effectively. And so if you've got a blanket tariff on Mexico and China, two of the sources of the underlying materials you need for semiconductor manufacturing, where that is cost ineffective, it's going to potentially create an issue for the very industry that we're trying to have thrive in the United States. And so I think that we're in the opening volley of very significant tariff and trade policy sort of salvos. And then I think you're going to have to get down to something much more precise and much more surgical to actually have the industries thrive that you want.
Okay, we're ways away from that. Always good, Brandon. Thank you. Brandon Daniels on all of this. So we get to your